In this video, I'd like to show you how to test mediation using bootstrapping technique. So we have two models. Total effect model means just a relationship between X and Y without any mediator. And then we have the mediation model, means we added the mediator in the relationship between X and Y. So as you can see here, this is called C, this is called C prime, because the path coefficient will be different, because here part of the effect from X to Y will go through M. So C prime usually should be weaker than C, right? Should be smaller than C. Now, we start with testing the total effect model. So as you can see here, I provided the decision-making tree. So in the beginning, you may print it out, put it next to your screen, and when you run the test, go step by step. But later, you will find it very easy when you get used to it, because all results will be given to you by one click using AMOS. So no need to draw different models. You just draw your model, which is the mediation model. Then you run the test, and you will get the results for total effect and for the mediation model. So first, the total effect. So we check the C to see whether it's significant. We check the C to see whether it's significant. Anyway, so if C is significant, then we check the indirect effect in the mediation model. This means we go to the mediation model and check A and B. If A and B is significant, it means the indirect effect through M is significant. This means we have mediation. You see, we start with C, and then we check the indirect effect. If the indirect effect is significant, we go down, and now you see both means mediation. But we have two types of mediation: partial mediation and full mediation. So if now we check the C prime in the mediation model. So this C prime is different from this C, right? Because this is the mediation model, this is the total effect model. So in the mediation model, now we check the C prime. If C prime is still significant, you see, significant, this means we have partial mediation. Why? Because this means that C prime still is strong, means just part of the effect of X on Y goes through M. Still part of it goes through C prime, so we call it partial mediation. If C prime is not significant anymore, so that we say that, okay, M is absorbing fully the effect of X on Y, so we call it full mediation if C prime is not significant anymore. And there are other options. For example, if C is significant and then the indirect effect is not significant, then we just say that we have a direct relationship between X and Y. There is no mediation, right? And following Byrne and Kenny method, if there is no relationship between X and Y, many researchers suggest that we name this. If we found, you see, if it's significant, if it is not significant, if it's not significant, total effect, C. Then if A and B are significant, then they said call it indirect relationship, not mediation. But anyway, there are different opinions. So this is the way we test. Now let's assume that these are the mediation, these are the hypotheses we have. Where is my model? This is my model. This is my model. And there are 5 independent variables. This is the same model we tested before. I mean, we assess the model fit, we improve the model. You see some items have been removed. There are some covariances here added. So this is the model that passed the CF stage. So all are reliable, all measurements are reliable, valid, and we constructed the SEM model. Now we want to test the mediation model. So there are 5 independent variables and 1 mediator and 1 dependent variable. So what can be the hypothesis? This is totally depends on the researcher. Some researchers test all these relationships one by one. For example, 5 relationships between the 5 IVs and the mediators, and then 1 from mediators to the DV, and then 1 for the indirect, for the mediation model. And of course, many of them, including myself, we start with testing so with the total effect model, means the relationship between all these 5 and DV. So what I'm saying is there are different approaches. Sometimes you feel, okay, you need to test all, okay, you test all, sometimes no. But here, the way I have constructed, I have stated the hypothesis, you can see here. There is a positive relationship between subjective norms and intention. This means the hypothesis that I have developed include the first 5 are the total effect model hypothesis. You remember the total effect model? The total effect model, maybe I can hide this, or maybe I can put it here. Yep. So the total effect model, as you can see, is the relationship between X and Y without the mediators. Means subjective norms to intention, image to intention, job relevance to intention. So all these 5 to intention without the mediator, right? Without the mediator means it's a total effect of this direct effect. This is called direct effect plus this indirect effect. Or in other words, if you remove the attitude, all goes through the direct effect, and we call it the total effect model. So this is important. So you see A is direct, B is direct, C prime is direct. So, and even this C, you can call it direct because all are direct relationship between X and Y. But here we call it total effect because all the effect of X goes to Y. There is only one path. But here, this C prime is not total effect because part of the effect goes through M, part is going directly. So we call this through M indirect and this one direct. But now, if you add the effect of C prime to the effect of AB, you will get C. So C is the total effect. So when you add these two paths together, you get C, right? Now, anyway, so how I usually develop my hypothesis. First, I start with testing the hypothesis on the total effect model, means the effect of X on Y. And you can see here we have 5 IVs, means 5 independent variables, and 1 DV. So first I test the impact of all these 5 on this. Some of you may include the mediators and test this relationship for this hypothesis. But these are total effect, means without the mediator, or let's say this direct effect plus the indirect effect. So anyway, first I want to know whether subjective norms has any impact on intention. So I show it like this. Subjective norms, intention. And then next one, image on intention, job relevance on intention. So these are the 5 hypotheses. Then for the mediation, when I get significant results, I want to know whether attitude mediate the relationships between these 5 and intention. So I add attitude here. Now I test the indirect effect of subjective norms to intention through attitude. Then image to intention through attitude. Then job relevance to intention through attitude. So, yeah, here. So, the first 5 hypotheses are, so if I want to show this, I would, you see, so I have 5 like this. I have 5 independent variables. So I have now shown you 3 of them here. All go to Y, right? Here, but because I explained in the mediation model using this diagram, so I want to keep it as it was. So how to test? Here I have prepared a table to summarize the results. So these are the first total effect model, the first 5 hypotheses, then the indirect effect or mediation model, the hypothesis 6 to 10. Now let's go back to AMOS. We already have the model. So the first thing always is to test the model fit, and this is what we already did in the previous videos when we constructed the SEM model, and the model fit was good. Yeah, you see it's good, and Ramsey is good. So anyway, now what we want to do is to test the mediation. So click on analysis properties, and then here go to output. Yeah, I always want standardized estimates. Let's get the R square or squared multiple correlations. Then by default I always click this, but anyway, here I don't think we need it. This is the important part: indirect, direct, and total effect. So it will give you everything you need. And then we want to test the mediation using bootstrapping approach. So click bootstrap, then click the first one, how many resamples you want to generate. Suppose you have 300 samples. Now from these 300 samples, you want to generate 2000 resamples. So bootstrapping, as I have posted some materials about bootstrapping to know more about it, is it computes, it generates new samples based on the samples that you already have. You can generate 20,000, 200,000 samples, up to you. I usually go for 2,000. Some literature say 1,000 is enough, but to be safe, I always go with 2,000. This means number of bootstrap samples will be 2,000. 2,000 times 2,000 samples will be generated from the 300 samples that I have collected. And here I select bias corrected confidence intervals, and I'm interested in 95% confidence level. So to simplify, I just change this to 2000 and the third one to 95 to see the, let me show you the results. Then close and then run the model. You see, it takes a few seconds because it needs to do it 2,000 times. So I got the results. This is the red arrow button, so you can see I switch to standardized. So you see the results here on the path, and let me move this a bit. So what you see here is the direct effects. For example, is the direct effect between subjective norms and attitude. You can see this is the direct effect between image and attitude. These are standardized values. And which one is, where is the 11? So I put this here just to see. Actually, we later use the report. So what you see is all direct effects, and here is the R square. We already know all these things, but now we want to see the indirect effects. So I click on view text to see the output, then go to estimates and matrices. Now, because you selected the bootstrapping tab, you now get the results for bootstrapping, and here you can see the total effects, direct effects and indirect effects. So for total effects, you can get unstandardized values and standardized values. So that one up to you. So what we need to do is, let's go back here. The first thing we need, you remember this one? You need to see whether the total effect is established, significant. So I go to total effect model, and here, so it doesn't matter which one you select. And then, I mean, there is unstandardized and standardized values. It depends which one you want to report. So here I open all these submenus and then go to, okay, when you click on estimates, because we are already here, means unstandardized total effects, then estimates. So it's a huge matrix, right? Matrix. So what you get is, for example, attitude and trust. It's the total effect between attitude and trust. Where is attitude? Attitude and trust. Actually, I can show it to you here. Yeah, attitude and trust. Oh, where is it? Trust and attitude. Yeah, but trust and attitude is already just one direct effect, so it's just a. It's not what we want. Total effect we mean. Oh my God. Total effect means the relationship between these five and intention. So intention and the five independent variables, right? We don't want attitude, we don't want intention. So we are on total effects, estimates. These are the path coefficient on standardized values of the total effect of trust to intention, output quality to intention, job relevance to intention, image to intention, subjective norms to intention. Now, how to check whether they are significant? You see, here you can get the results for, this is the standard errors, and this is the lower bound, upper bound, two-tailed significance. This is the p-value. So intention, and these are the five independent variables. We are still in the total effects, right? So these are p-values. So the p-value for the total effect of trust on intention is less than 0.05. So it is significant. This one, not significant. This significant, significant, significant. So for 4 of them, you got significant results. What is lower bound, upper bound? So this is 95% confidence level, confidence intervals, lower bound, upper bound. So from lower bound to upper bound, it will give you a range. And if this range covers 0, 0 falls in this range, this means the path coefficient that you got is not significantly different from 0. But if 0 doesn't fall in this range, this means your path coefficient is significantly different from 0. For example, let's say here, trust to intention. The lower bound is 0.069 and the upper bound is 0.332. And 0 does not fall between these two, you see, 6, 9, 2, 3, 3, 2. So 0 is outside of this range. This means trust to intention is significantly different from 0. This means a significant relationship. And we already knew because we already checked the p-value. You see? Yeah, correct. Oh, for another one, let's check the output quality to intention. The lower bound is minus, it's below, it's minus, what's called 0.175. Upper bound is positive. So it ranges from a negative value to a positive. I'm switching between lower bound and upper bound, you see? So 0 falls between these two values, right? So this means the path coefficient is not significantly different from 0 with 95% confidence level. And we already knew this from the p-value, right? It's greater than 0.05. This means it is not significantly different from 0. So why we need to check? Actually, we don't need to check this. We just report it if you are interested. We check the p-value easily, so it's not significant. Now let's complete the table here. For subjective norms, it is, you can report the values, but I just here write whether it's significant or not. So the only one, let me see, we are on p-value, total effect. The only one that is not significant is output quality. So for output quality, it's really not significant. And for these, it's significant, 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 and all are positive. We can write positive, the sign I can report as well. You can report the path coefficients in this table too. So the sign of the output quality to intention is not important because it's not significantly different from 0. We consider it as 0. Now, let's check here. So we already checked this. And for example, for 4 of them, they are significant. So we go to the next step, which is testing the AB, indirect relationship. AB, indirect relationship. Now, how to check the indirect relationships? Here, indirect effect. So I click on indirect effect. Again, you can get the unstandardized values or standardized values. So it's the same thing like total effects. So let's say I want unstandardized value, or let's say I want to check standard. It depends how you want to report, right? So let's say I want to check the standardized values. So I click here, again, estimates. Now I get the standardized indirect effects, their path coefficients. For example, we already know the indirect, by indirect effects we mean these 5 to intention through attitude. Attitude is the mediator. So indirect effects means these 5, the effect of these 5 on intention through attitude. So it means the indirect effect between these 5 and intention. There is no indirect effect between these 5 and attitude. They're all directly connected to attitude. So you see here, all are 0 because there is no indirect effect here. All are direct. So when we are in the indirect tab and we click on estimate, all are 0. So indirect effect means the only indirect effects available in the model, these 5 to intention through attitude. So these 5 to intention. Whatever you can see here is indirect effect. So those got 0 because there is no indirect effect. Now, so positive, 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 negative. Now, Are they significant? I click on two-tailed significance, means the two-tailed significance means the p-values, to get the p-value. So I'm still here on standardized indirect effects, and here I click on p-values. So again, you see there's no p-value for many of them because there is no indirect effect to report. And here we are interested in these 5 to intention. All are indirect effect p-values. So the first one, trust is significant. So trust, where are you? Trust. Okay. Trust. I just write here indirect effect is significant. P-value is less than 0.05. Output quality is not significant. Output quality not significant. Indirect effect is not significant. I just reported. And this one, okay, job relevance, almost significant. You know, I write quasi significant, means almost significant. Sometimes we are interested to report, you know, for example, there is something, right? So this means the p-value is less than 0.1. So in some of my papers, sometimes I write quasi or almost significant, because with 10% confidence level, this is significant. Or let's say if your hypotheses are they are wanted, so this means it's significant. But here, anyway, I just write quasi. You can write non-significant because your threshold is 0.05. But I would say, okay, I just interpret the results because it's less than 0.10. It's with 90% confidence level, it is significant. Then image, it is. And the last one is subjective norms, not significant. So, done. Let's see. You remember from this, if C is significant, AB is significant, then we get mediation. But now, is it full or partial? Full or partial. So we need to test, we need to report the direct effects. Oh, here I forgot to write the sign. Okay, it's okay, that's fine. So what about the, maybe I can check it here, estimates again. It's the indirect, you see it's indirect estimates. So all are positive except subjective norms, and subjective norms is not significant, so all are positive. This one positive, not significant, we don't write positive. Okay, now the direct effects. Direct effects, you go to direct effects. So click on direct effects, on standardized and standardized, which one you want to report. Keep consistency. So be consistent. If you want to report on standards, all should be on standards. If it's standardized, all standardized. So, and then here, we just check the p-value. So standardized value, direct effect, and p-value. You may see that. So we are now checking C prime. You see the direct between X and Y. We are in the direct effect models. So in AMOS, this is called as direct effects. It means we are actually testing this model. We are not drawing 2 different models in AMOS. You already saw. There's only one model. So what is reported as total effect is this. Means this plus this will give you C. If you are checking the direct, all these direct relationships, this is in the direct effect. The indirect effect is an indirect effect model. So for direct effect means all these single relationships between all variables. So I'm interested in C prime, so I go to direct effect, and then let's say standardized, read the p-values. So for trust, job relevance, image, so for all of them significant except output quality. So all significant except, actually it's very similar to what we got here. So I just copy paste. So all significant, output quality is not significant, and trust is significant, right? Let's check their estimates, means they're okay. Output quality is negative, others are positive. These are path coefficients, and not, oh yeah, this one is not significant, so it doesn't matter. Now, what happens? Now we can interpret the results. We can, okay, let's see. So sorry, maybe I can take this, put it here. So for the first one, subjective norms to intention, total effect here, significant, we go down, AB indirect is not significant. Okay, so it's a direct relationship. So it's just a direct relationship between hold on. Okay, beautiful. So the first one, total effect is significant, but this is not significant, the indirect effect, right? Following the decision making what I'm showing you here. So this means there is only a relationship between X and Y. So it's a direct relationship between subjective norms and intention, right? And oh no, yeah, sorry, yeah, indirect effect is not significant. Then for image to intention, let's see, for image to intention, okay, the total effect is significant. So now we can add the mediators. Now for the mediators, indirect effect is significant too. And so good. So you see, this is significant, and direct effect, C prime, significant. So partial mediation. In other words, this is significant. Then we test this. Indirect effect is significant. Excellent. This means we have mediation, but still C prime is significant. So it partially goes through M. So this means partial mediation. Now, next one. Again, this is significant, but this is all, the indirect effect is almost significant. And this is still significant. So I would say partial mediation, but again, this one up to you. Some people say, oh, hello, what do you mean by quasi-significant? Up to you how you want to report. So if you want to stick your p-value of less than 0.05, this is not significant. So I would write quasi, almost, right? Almost mediation. Then next one, not significant. Okay, it goes to this one, and not significant again, so no relationship. The last one, trust to intention, significant, means this here we have significant. This one, indirect effect significant, C prime is significant, again partial. Okay, so yeah, that's all. So what we already tested the hypothesis. H1, H2, H3, and H5 are supported. And here for the mediation, the first one is not supported. The mediation, you remember, the hypothesis was on, this one was on mediating role of attitude. It is not between subjective norms and intention. It is not significant. This is not supported, means the hypothesis is not supported. Then next one, partial mediation. The hypothesis is supported and is partially mediated. This one, again, up to you whether you want to accept p-value of less than 0.1. So this one I said partial mediation, no relationship, partial mediation. So this means supported, not supported, supported, the hypothesis. Hypothesis H6 to H10. Now you may say, you mentioned about quasi-significant and almost significant. I will share some of my papers with you that I mentioned this term. You can refer to them, say hello. Yep, I'm following this. Anyway, okay, so this was how we test mediation effect using bootstrapping.